John's Basketball Media Day here on the floor of Carter-Sack Arena. Ralph Pignorcha with former St. John's guard Tariq Turner. And now we welcome in, heading into his 7th season, Joe Tartamella coaching the St. John's women's basketball team off of a historic run in the WNIT last year, the Sweet 16 last year before falling at West Virginia. And Coach, you bring back a strong roster with a lot of speed. Pace of play was something among the buzzwords we talked about. Tell us about kind of the makeup of your team. It appears like on paper it's going to be a lot different, and you're trying to take the offense even to another level.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, certainly you're going to lose players to graduation every year. We lost, our two bigs up front in Maya and Imani, along with Sox, who we had in that senior group. But so this year we've got the transfer who sat out last year. Who was extremely impressive last year in practice. We're very excited to see Kurtiana get out there. We call her Mimo, so if I reference her again, that's Kurtiana Breelove. She's done a great job for us, just with her back to the basket, a lot of agility, versatility. Kayla Charles has done the same thing. But with that being said, with the return of obviously Tiana England, Kurasha Hapi, Alicia Kebi, and Akina, along with the additions of obviously Jasmine Sina, you have Shamashia Duncan, we call her Maki. We can play a little bit smaller, I think, and be able to score the ball. Hopefully at a higher rate, and so a lot of stuff we've talked about is really those first 8 to 10 seconds in how we play. So certainly our speed looks a lot better because we're playing a little smaller. We've got to shore up other areas like we always have in the past, defensively and rebounding wise. But we feel pretty good about the makeup of the team.
Coach, you've had a stellar career. Obviously, you're winning season in each of your first 6 seasons, 11 straight postseasons. Continue to raise the bar of the program, and coming off a Sweet 16 appearance last year in the WNIT. When you have that kind of success, where does the bar go for the next year, for this season coming up?
I mean, our expectations really have never changed since the day I took over. Being a part of the program for almost 15 years, watching it go from what was considered the worst of the worst to a team that was in the top 25, almost each and every year, and then having the opportunity to take that over, continuing that progress over the last 6, and the expectations, and for our players, I tell them all the time, they can't take for granted how fortunate they are that they get to play, in March. And I've been here when we haven't, so to do it for 11 straight years, a lot of these players, they don't know anything,
right,
and they don't know anything other than playing in the postseason. So the expectation is always high. Certainly the goal now, too, is every year is a regular season championship along with the Big East Tournament championship, and then being able to get to the NCAA tournament, or along with the WNT as well. Not that we take that for granted at all. So to be able to make a deep run last year, I think it validated some of the things that we were doing with certainly a younger team. So we feel pretty good about our progress there, and our expectations don't change. Those are the same things we come into year in and year out.
Mm-hmm. You had a couple of key pieces. Let's start with Kurtiana Breelove. She sat out last year as a transfer from VCU. They see her walking around. Appears like she's got soft hands, a big body, a different kind of post that you've had. One player in basketball can make a big difference, particularly in the post position. How does she change things? You want to play fast, but then you have a player, it appears, that you can dump the ball down low into that changes the game.
Yeah, well, we've had certainly a mixture of players down low that we've had over the years. I think when you're looking back to even Angela Clark and Danielle Chambers, and then moving into the Jade Walkers more currently, of the versatility they've had. And Mimo brings size, agility, and the ability to shoot it, so she can really stretch you. And offensively, she's extremely gifted. One of the bigger things for us is the ability to be able to finish, and that's something that she does. But she also has a great ability to pass the ball. So she was kicking our butt a lot last year in practice. So we were hoping we had her last year, but she's ready to go. I think she gives us a presence inside that will help us, along with Kayla Charles, who I think is much improved from last year. She played limited minutes, Kayla, but certainly her athleticism and her agility and versatility in what is becoming a positionless game in some ways will help us in how we want to play.
And then you bring in this recruit, Kadasia Bradley, who's a top 40 consensus. Bailey. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Kadasia Bailey. Thank you.
Yeah.
Top 40 consensus player in the country last year. She can do it all, from what I'm being told. A wing, athletic, can shoot it, put it on the floor. How excited are you about her, and what do you expect from her?
Yeah, I mean, listen, she's as gifted as a kid that we've recruited at her size, with what she can do, certainly with the ball in her hands, running the floor. She runs like a gazelle. She has a funky shot, but that thing goes in, so, we're not trying to mess that up at all. But she's a gifted scorer, certainly working on the transition and the pace of play and the physicality of the game, but has played at the highest levels in certainly AAU, and then certainly in a very difficult high school league in the Catholic League in Long Island. So we've watched her. She committed here as a ninth grader, so we've been waiting for her to get here. But she'll provide us a big lift, along with obviously the kids that we have returning, who I think have also improved. But Kadeja can give you, she can score in bunches. She's got the length to be a great defender. It's something we've challenged her with now, is the ability to defend, because she wasn't asked to do that a lot, as most players aren't in high school. So, but yeah, she can do a little bit of everything, and she does it at a high level.
Coach, last thing before we let you go, your schedule you put together, you've been known, as long as I've known you, put together ambitious non-conference schedules, but this one may take the cake. Only 3 non-conference home games. You get Florida State to come in. You're going to be in the Paradise Jam. Programs like UConn, Purdue, Ole Miss are there. How about managing this team through this gauntlet that is something else ahead of the Big East, and the philosophy of how to not let the schedule be overbearing?
Well, obviously, certainly some years you're going to have playback games where you're going to have a few more away games than you normally would. And certainly you're expecting a specific group of players to be out there as well when you're doing it in advance. So you have to take all that into account as you're looking forward to putting that non-conference schedule together year to year. As I said in the opening statement, the biggest thing for me has always been, we know the Big East is going to be a gauntlet. However, we've got to make sure we're putting ourselves in a position to play high-level RPI teams and the non-conference teams that we think are obviously going to give us great games that we have an opportunity to win. Certainly the opportunity to play a UConn is important to benchmark yourself against what would be considered one of the best in the country. Certainly playing 3 games in a row, you're looking at that postseason look of a conference tournament. With our legs, we've got to be really smart with the numbers that we have and how we want to play. And then, just really being able to challenge ourselves. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be able to, I think, the reason why players want to come here and compete against the best is because they're going to play against the best. So when we recruit players here, we're telling them that they're going to play against some of the best teams in the non-conference that we can find. And so we'll challenge ourselves. And I think it's also a role as a member of the Big East to make sure that we're putting the Big East up against the different conferences to show that, what we're capable of, and to help our league get some more exposure.
Coach, we're looking forward to it. Year number 7 for you around the corner. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Coach.
All right.
Thanks.